With Easter coming up, we're gonna do something a little different, something I really like to do over the season. Some honey mustard glazed pork belly sliders with a fresh slaw and some cheddar cheese. Got hot cross buns, they're all over the show. I've used the honey mustard glazed pork from the Milkwood Deli home range, and that's just gonna go straight into a cold pan because otherwise your pork will just crust way faster than it just slowly heating up nicely. I'm gonna pop in some butter. You can put on more, but I'm also gonna toast it with butter, so we don't want to overdo it. Add some salt and some black pepper, which is very necessary. You don't have pork without black pepper. And that's just gonna go on a medium heat until it's nice and juicy and soft. We're just gonna use a small bit because we're only making 6 sliders. Let's go with the raw cabbage. So we're just gonna keep it on the stem so that it stays together. And then you're just gonna do a fine chop into a nice mixing bowl. Chopped up gherkins. You don't want this too fine, otherwise you'll lose a lot of the texture. It's gonna be mushy. So we'll just maybe cut them into quarters in the bowl. Some fresh coriander. Chop that up roughly. Just a quick chop in the bowl. Okay, so this is pretty much what you want. Just a little bit of caramelization, but not too much crisp because you don't want to dry it out. So that can stay on the side now while we finish the coleslaw, and then we can load the buns, toast them, stack them, and eat them. Next, we're gonna go with the onion. I'd actually prefer doing the onion separately, but since we're making a slaw, if you put it in the slaw and there's leftover slaw, then you've got a good dish to add to whatever you're making the next day or that evening. So we're just gonna do thin slices. Enough red onion. You need lots of red onion with mustard, especially if you're doing cheese and fatty pork. Okay. So that's gonna go in there, all your little purple and greens. For the sauce, some whole grain mustard. If you're a mustard fan, you can always add some hot mustard into the pork when it cooks, but the stock that the home meals come with, if you're using that, already has quite a bit of Dijon and honey in it, so you'll just have to go on your preference. I'm gonna do a little splash of honey, maybe little-ish splash. Some red wine vinegar, a decent amount of vinegar. I'd say maybe 2 tablespoons. A little bit more salt. Would be really nice if this is some lemon. Go, let's use the, I don't have lemons. So let's do some gherkin sauce, that's actually quite convenient. The brine from the gherkins, the pickling juice. We're just gonna mix that up. Gonna get a pretty runny consistency. And then that just goes straight over your slaw mix. Sweet, sour, cheesy, fatty pork sliders. I was going for a fresher slaw, but it needs a little bit of tang and cream. So we're just doing 1 tablespoon of mayo. Just whatever mayo is in your cupboard, doesn't matter. It's not a lot compared to the amount of coleslaw you have. So you can just mix that in. It's also just gonna help bind everything nicely. And then you've got this very fresh, but still slightly creamy slaw. So we've got some extra spicy hot cross buns. They're really super fluffy and sticky, which is ideal because you want some sweetness for the pork. And I generally don't like raisins baked into things, but this is when I'm so thankful for them, because that little bit of sticky toffee flavor that you get from the raisin, and then all the spice from the cinnamon and the cloves with the pork, basically a roast in a roll. So let's fill them. So I'm just going to pop some mustard on the bottom, pork, cheese, toast that. And then once that comes out of the toaster, we're gonna whack on some slaw, and then it's gonna be perfect. Okay. Some Dijon mustard would be great with this, because this is very mild. But this is what we've got, and we do what we can with what we've got. This is all about using leftovers over Easter. So don't want to have to go buy anything. If you don't have normal mustard, you know, a yellow bottle that you have in the fridge that's also some sort of mustard, use that mustard, it's fine. They've got a little bit of crunch, lots of moisture still in here, which is wonderful. They be generous, they're supposed to be messy. You don't ever get a spillage free slider, that doesn't exist. Don't be shy with the cheese. If it doesn't spill out while you toast it, you didn't put enough on it. Just get them in there slowly and gently. The most beautiful toasted, buttery, caramelized buns. Okay, so we're just gonna remove the tops. Pork stuck to the cheese, it's a blessing actually. Look at that cheese. Yum! That's just so good. It's fresh and zingy and cheesy and meaty, and you've got this super soft, steamy, sweet bun. Winner, winner.